and good evening. I'm Lisa Broom with the Wednesday, July 8th edition of the CBC Evening News. In our top story tonight, Labour Minister Dr. Esther Bayer this afternoon held talks with officials of the National Union of Public Workers in an attempt to try and broker a settlement in its dispute with the Barbados Investment Development Corporation. That meeting started after 2 o'clock this afternoon at the Labour Minister's office in Warrens. Senator Bayer's intervention came after the NUPW told Barbadians that from today it will institute Phase 2 of the industrial action, which will include a halt of burials at the cemeteries and a go-slow at the Bridgetown port. Acting General Secretary of the NUPW, Rosalind Smith, told reporters they had asked the Sanitation Service Authority to stop picking up garbage and to hold off on carrying out burials until the end of the week. Other entities are also involved in today's action. Now, on Monday, hundreds of public sector workers marched the streets of the city as part of Phase 1 of the action. The dispute between the NUPW and the BIDC centers on the retirement of 13 workers, all of whom have reached the age of 60. And late this evening, after 3.5 hours of talks, it emerged that the Labour Minister had met with the BIDC earlier in the morning to get their take on the impasse with the NUPW. She has since scheduled a joint meeting of the two parties under her chairmanship for tomorrow at 3 o'clock at her Warrens office. Now, Acting General Secretary of the Union, Rosalind Smith, says that as a result of the talks, which she described as cordial, the NUPW has agreed that burials scheduled for public cemeteries tomorrow will go ahead, but the non-collection of garbage by SSA workers remains. The position of the National Union of Public Workers remains the same. This from NUPW President Akani McDowell after the conclusion of a meeting between the NUPW and the Minister of Labour, Senator Esther Bayer.
We have decided that we will have a meeting with the BIDC board and her team tomorrow, but the position of NUPW remains the same. The industrial action will continue as is until we find a resolution to this problem that we are facing. The only outcome that we can see at this time is that those letters be retracted, the persons be paid until they reach retirement age.
Senator Bayer, who met with both entities today in separate meetings, says though the protests have had an impact, the issue can only be solved at the table.
So today we started with the discussions. We had, as I said, we met BIDC this morning, we met NUPW this afternoon. The aim of the separate meetings is to understand clearly the perspectives of both, understand their grievances, their challenges, and what brought them to this point, and what brought them to the positions that they currently hold. Having had the meetings, I think I understand much better what the issues were, what the issues are, and I think I'm in a better position now to be able to chair a meeting, the aim of which would be a resolution. That's what we're about. We want a resolution. So both parties have agreed that we will meet again tomorrow, and when we meet, we would be able now to look at some resolution to the issue.
Many Barbadians are tonight fearing that the no pickup policy implemented by the NUPW and carried out by the Sanitation Service Authority could result in garbage pileups. A CBC team visited neighborhoods around the city to find out how residents felt about the situation. Garbage lined the streets in this section of Pineland St. Michael as a foul smell filled the air. Some Pinelands residents told CBC they've been plagued by garbage issues for years. Rhonda Hollingsworth was one of them.
They do not pick up the stuff off the ground when it drop out the skate, and that's not good service. It's affecting my shop very badly, and they're not looking, because they complain the sanitation, they're still not doing anything. Over in King William Street in Bridgetown, a man identified only as Carlton said the strike has highlighted a bigger issue: illegal dumping.
People come from all about and throw garbage here. Everybody, lip on the night, everybody. All you have is people dumping like if there's a daft can. So I can't do nothing about it.
Carlton says despite his tolerance of the garbage situation over the years, it could get a lot worse with the SSA now taking action.
I think, what if they strike? Look at them on strike here and look, watch the alert.
CBC also visited the nearby Westbury Cemetery to assess the effects of the strike on burials there, and a number of them had to be postponed today. The team caught up with Brian Bentham, who says his sister is scheduled to be buried on Saturday. However, on visiting the cemetery, Mr. Bentham was told that if strike action persists, graves may be dug, but burials will not take place. This, he says, could result in even more issues for his family.
It affects me in a way because we have family that's coming from overseas, and it's going to push them back a little. Unfortunately, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's something that we have to deal with.
This recent strike comes after hundreds of public sector workers took to the streets to protest the retiring of 13 Barbados Investment Development Corporation workers.
A 23-year-old motorcyclist is Barbados' latest road fatality. Police say John David Murray of Roxy Gap Eagle Hall, St. Michael, died after his cycle was involved in a collision with a Transport Board bus around 10 minutes after 11 last night along Welches Road, St. Michael. The Transport Board bus was driven by Ivan Goodrich. Police say Murray received serious injuries and was transported to the QEH by an ambulance where he later died. 9 passengers on board the bus complained of various injuries, none of which was life-threatening. 8 of the passengers were seen by ambulance personnel on the scene, and 1 opted to seek private medical attention. As diabetes and other non-communicable diseases continue to take a toll on Barbadian society, there's a greater effort to get people to better manage their condition. One of the initiatives is being led by the Diabetes Association of Barbados in the form of a chronic disease self-management workshop, which begins this Saturday. It's being done in conjunction with Stanford University in California and the Pan American Health Organization. First Vice President of the association, Tyrone Lowe, tells CBC News the 6-week program will train people with chronic conditions in self-management techniques so they can help themselves to improve their health.
We revisit the usual things of diet and physical activity, but what we realize more importantly is that they'll be telling you about emotional control, decision making, action planning, and other areas that so often we take for granted. And the peer approach of having people talk about the condition, helping one another to understand their backgrounds and so on, that is therapeutic. So every week we focus on one aspect of it. Something as simple as sleeping. We take it for granted its value. We revisit all those things in a very intense and meaningful way.
We'll have more news in just a moment. Stay with us.
Is near for the world's greatest soca event, the Flow Soca on the Hill at the Folly Hill National Park, Barbados. Come see the Queen of the Bacchanal, Destra, Lowick, Ricardo Drew, RPB, Biggie Irie, Skinny Fabulous, Soca Sensations, Leadpipe and Status, Benjai, King Bubba FM, and still the best of Crop Over 2015 still to come. Get your early bird tickets now from official box offices before the price goes up. Sunday, July 19th, the Flow Soca on the Hill. Charles Dublin, tasty fun, fun never done. Ping pong, she has smiled everyone. She have that taste that a cheers must waste. Chuckles make me smile up the
You got the fun. Charles Chocolates, for real chocolate lovers. Start smiling.
When you need space to grow, there's nothing like the home you own. Let Scotiabank open the door for you with competitive rates and support every step of the way. Visit us today and discover what's possible.
This crop over, CBC is giving you a double delight. 2 ways to catch the big crop over events via streaming online or on MCTV's pay-per-view. Pan Fusion, Pan Pandesand and Grand Canouement are just US $10 each, while Soca Royale and Pick of the Crop finals are US $25 each. To book these events available on streaming, log on to cbc.bb, and for pay-per-view, call MCTV at 228-6288 or send an email to customerservices@cbc.bb. Special conditions apply. Now isn't that delightful? CBC, your link to the festival.
Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Maxine McLean, says the proposed construction of an all-inclusive facility by Rotary Club of Barbados will help to create a more inclusive society. Her comments came during the contribution to the Senate debate on a resolution to lease land to the Rotary Club of Barbados South. She says its users will reap several benefits.
At the end of the day, we are talking about ensuring that we build a truly inclusive society. And in doing so, this particular project should go somewhere to assisting the inclusion of several hundred Barbadian children with disabilities who currently find it difficult or almost impossible to play in traditional playgrounds and other recreational spaces.
Senator McLean adds that the construction also complies with the UN Conventions on the Rights of the Child and the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which was ratified by Barbados. Senator Andre Worrell believes more recreational parks in the island should be made accessible for the disabled.
All of our parks should possibly have some facilities that, regardless of the ability of the child, that they can go and they can enjoy that recreational space as well too. And we need to do more of this in terms of our cities, our schools, our buildings and so forth, so that all persons would be able to have free access and would not have to depend on persons to get around.
Senator Worrell notes the construction of the all-inclusive facility will help with the development of special athletes and the island's preparation for the Special Olympics. And Senator Alwyn Adams believes the facility will help to bring Barbados in line with other developed countries.
Barbados, of course, is not a backwards country, and we are at the stage of development when we have to be seen in many cases in the same realm of the developed countries, and in paying this close attention to those persons in our midst who are worthy of this facility, it raises our profile as a civilized, sophisticated and developed society.
Senator Adams adds the all-inclusive facility can enhance the island's tourism product. Well, we're now in the midst of the hurricane season. It's the time of year when several organizations are pressed into action should the need arise. Lisa Lord tells us about some of the work they do.
There are 30 district emergency organizations, one for each constituency in Barbados. Tonight we'll get some insight into the workings of two of them, stopping first in St. James Central. Selwyn Brooks is the founding chairman of this DEO and has been leading the charge since 2003. Over the years, the parish of St. James and the whole town area specifically has been known for flooding whenever there has been a heavy downpour. But no more. Since the Lime Grove Lifestyle Center was constructed, it brought improved drainage to the area, and the issue of flooding is now one of the past. The St. James Central DEO has 54 active members, and they have been busy looking at the needs and challenges within the various communities which they have responsibility for.
We were in the Hunts Village area, and we did a profile in that area a couple of weeks ago, and we identified some vulnerable persons who have trees that are, from what we saw today in our assessment, will offer some challenge in terms if you have high winds. So within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we want to see how we can have those trees removed.
He was, however, quick to point out that as an organization, they are not only focused on storms. And because the DEO is situated within the tourist belt, the organization has been working closely with a number of hotels.
We were able to go in, offer some level of awareness training, and be able to show them why they need to be proactive. And in some cases, they've had a number of fires. They've had a number of issues, and because of the exposure to what we had offered them and the resource personnel, whatever, they were able to see the benefits.
From St. James Central, we head over to St. Thomas, where we met Andre Walk. He's the new chair of the St. Thomas DEO, having taken over the reins just 2 months ago. He says the focus now is getting the organization back to a level of efficiency.
What we're doing is we're restructuring the DEO.
Tell me about that.
And that restructuring of the DEO, what we intend to do is to get the DEO to a level of functionality where it operates almost like a business. So what we're trying to do is make sure that everything that the DEO does is accounted for and that we're able to provide value for the residents of St. Thomas and in some cases residents of St. Andrew and St. Joseph, because there are some shared areas that the DEOs have that are cross-border or they're overlapping.
The DEO has about 20 active members with an interesting age range.
Our members range in age almost from teenagers right the way up to someone who's about 90 and who's actually very active and comes to all of our meetings and always has a very strong voice in all the activities that we are planning or in the work that we are intent on doing.
A concern for Mr. Walk at this time is that there is a single Category 1 hurricane shelter in St. Thomas here at the Leicester School. And that shelter also serves St. Andrew and St. Joseph. He says that this could present some challenges.
It naturally is a concern because should something happen that requires that people from neighboring parishes have to come to the Category 1 shelter, it would naturally provide some level of contention potentially, and there may be some level of overcrowding. However, the DM is well aware of the situation and they're working to resolve that situation.
Now we know what the DEOs are doing. What about the shelters? The place designated as a safe haven if you must leave your home during the storm. The Cuthbertmore Primary School is the only Category 1 shelter in the parish of St. George. As principal of the school, Milanese Aline also serves as the senior shelter warden. She explained what her duties entail.
I'm responsible for individuals in the event that there is a hurricane or some emergency disaster. I am responsible for the housing of the individuals who actually visit the shelter. As they arrive, we actually enroll individuals and we make sure that there's order within the shelter. And we actually delegate. We assign individuals to work, let's say, shift system, and we design specific areas for housing, whereas males and females are separated. And we design an area for our kitchen, our office, etc.
The principal also says teaching children about being storm ready is vital.
Within the school, what we do at full assembly, we kind of inform the children of hurricane preparedness, what they should do, stock up on the items, etc. And also within the social studies class, social studies teacher, the specialist teacher, she also has a specific lesson where she teaches children hurricane preparedness.
Another interesting bit of information for you. The DEOs are placed on alert once a storm watch is issued. The shelters are opened on instructions from the Department of Emergency Management. The question now is, are you prepared? I'm Lisa Lord, reporting for CBC News.
Lisa, thank you. We'll have regional news after this break. Stay with us.
Beat the heat with the cold by Coach Tree.